In order at 7 o'clock. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Batterby, present. Gladly.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Thayer.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Cruzy.
Here. Accept the motion for approval of the agenda, March 11th, as presented.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Batterby, support by Bodley. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion approved. Approval of the minutes from the February 11th, 2013 regular board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 11th.
Support. Motion by Batterby, support by Thayer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Public comment. Ralph.
I'm going to shorten this up for you guys and everything, but I know there's a few people here that, I guess if you guys would raise your hands if you're for a new softball fence. We've needed one for quite a while. The fence is 30 plus years old. It's hard to see right now, but believe it or not, the softball rolls under it halfway down the thing. It really, we would appreciate you guys spending a whole bunch of money, and I know it's a lot of money, but it really could show off the town. The school's in support of it. I put a letter up there. Bill and Ken weren't here yet. I know the sports boosters. I promise, if the sports boosters won't give enough money for the cap on the fence, and you'll allow me to hang some banners up or something on the fence, I'll sell enough to pay for the cap. And that way it'll look good. It can be something real strong for the community when people drive into town. And it's really, it can be a great thing, and I really appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Any other public comment?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Brad Glasgow, and I'm the editor of the Central Lake News. And in the middle of February, I sent the council an email through the website, and I wanted to run an article about the logging surplus. And I asked a simple question. I asked, what is the best way for the public to let the council know their opinion? And Mr. Cruzy responded and refused to comment. He said that we needed to establish ourselves in the eyes of the council before you guys talk to us. And I am not here to establish ourselves in the eyes of the council today. We've been a fixture in the community for about a year now. We've had a Facebook group for a year, and several of you on the council have been longtime members. You've even used our group to announce the creation of the village Facebook page after saying that we were not established. Now, the community has embraced our Facebook group and our newspaper. Our group has 400 plus people in and around Central Lake who are concerned with Central Lake. And everyone in the community has been more than happy to grant us interviews, including the school superintendent, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, the Historical Society, as well as local businesses. So we feel we've been established. The reason I am here is to let you know that we will be contacting most, if not all of you, on the council for interviews in the future in order to keep the public informed. For example, I want to interview one or more of you about the Thurston Park proposed changes to see what changes are in store for the park. And we'd like to know who is our contact when we'd like to request interviews. Should we go through the communications committee, or should we contact the relevant committee directly? How should we handle it? If you let us know, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll move along. Police report.
Okay, I'll stand over here so I can. Hopefully everybody get a chance to look at the report. Things are picking up for us. It's a good thing. Usually February, end of January, early February is a slow time for us, so it's starting to pick up with the weather getting better, people moving around. Report, I'll hit a couple highlights. Obviously Josh is here, and I brought Josh today. Josh Jones, some of you may remember he worked here when I first started here. Went to work for the county. Still works for the county, but is coming back about 1 or 2 days a week just to kind of help us out and fill in. I explained to you guys last week, the benefit of that is that we kind of hit the floor running. The education, the training, the experience, everything's there. So Josh started last week, and we got pretty much most of everything he needs and ready to go. So you'll see him a lot more in the next coming weeks. So, but besides that, did some training, and just we finalized. Ken and I spent some time this last week finalizing the peddler ordinance, which you guys copy, and we kind of brainstormed some things about forms and applications and stuff like that, so we can kind of keep track of who's coming and going and stuff like that. Most of it went to Brian and came back already, so I think we're ready to go on that. So. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
DPW, Sam?
Everybody has a copy of DPW operations, I hope. Number 2 is the biggest thing on there was the 94 plow truck. The differential went out, which is basically the rear end of the truck, and we replaced it in-house. I'd never done it, but talked to a couple of the council members. They kind of talked me through how to do it, so they talked me into trying it. We did it. It is repaired, up and running. We got all the snow piles hauled from town, and overtime is 40 hours in this report. Last report had part of February in it, so this pretty much closes out the snow months for the overtime. Any questions?
Thank you. Correspondence. I have some correspondence on the logging money. We'll take care of that later when we talk about the logging money. The other 2 correspondence I have, one of them was from a gentleman in Texas who was inquiring about doing a barbecue fundraiser type event competition in the village. We're just going to pass it along to the chamber, and then the chamber can deal with that and come back to us, because that truly is chamber matter. The other one I talked to Sam about this was about the maintenance of the alley behind Bachman's, and Sam can help me if I'm wrong, but the village does their best to maintain that alley. It's an alley. People park in it. When they park in it, we can't plow it. So if those business owners want to get in the battle of who's going to park there and who isn't, and are we going to restrict parking so it can be plowed, or are they going to maintain it themselves, that's fine, and they can come back to us. But right now, we do the best job we can do with the alley used the way it is. So I think those business owners need to get together and come to an agreement. So I think that addresses that, because we really do try our best. You can't plow a street with cars parked on it. You know, there's no room to get through it. So we know it, and we'll work on it. That's all I have. Any other committee reports? Street, Rob.
Currently, we've got traditional metal halide lights, 34 of them. Our budget to maintain those lights is $20,000. We're trying to lower that number by switching over to LED lights. We're working with a company right now to see which is the best route to go. There is a higher upfront cost, but overall, we can lower our wattage per bulb, thus saving money, and also at the same time become eligible for consumer powers grants. So that's what Sam and I are working on currently, trying to move that forward.
Any questions for Rob? Thanks, Rob. Rod, sewer and water.
Sam just submitted the DEQ report and the cross connection report. The usage was up a little over 5 million gallons from 2012 to 2011, with, of course, June, July, and August being the pretty hot months. There's a lot of water. And other than that, he rebuilt 2 sewer pumps, residential sewer pumps. And other than that, that's about it. This was the big thing.
Thank you.
I've got extra reports later.
Bill, welcome.
Just welcome Josh to back our team, and I'm sure he's a great addition to our police force. That's about it. I think Chief covered about everything else.
Thank you, Bill. Communications, Denise?
The only thing is, I had some questions about the Facebook page, which I think Joe is able to help you with, and he's got to get there, so that's it.
Thank you.
I'll jump in there for a minute with it. As a lot of people know, we've moved going forward with Facebook page in February. Missions Computers worked with us pretty diligently in getting that going. We put it out, published it on the 3rd. We've asked that there not be any questions on the Facebook page. We've asked that it be limited to comments. If you have questions, you can get a hold of us through our email or by the messenger on that. Other than that, on the communication side of it, we're pretty good. We've got most of our reports, as Mr. Thayer just reported on the DEQ water usage is on there now. We've updated the budget on there and many other things with it, so.
Thank you. Finance and personnel.
Oh, that's
You again.
Again, actually, things went real good with it. We pretty well closed out the year until we get our adjusted journal entries. We can't close the books, but Pat worked really hard at getting our final revenue and expenditure together for us. We look really good. Every one of our accounts came out in the black except for one in the equipment fund, but that's just a minor numbers game that we've got to play, and Pat's working with our auditors there to correct that. So other than that, we should be looking pretty good, I think.
Any questions? Thanks, Joe. Leela, Parks.
Okay, we have been working, we've had men down there helping us. Joe and Rob have been doing a wonderful job helping me. We are planning on redoing the bathrooms in the park itself, not the, up by the, the building. We're not going up there. We're doing the one down in the park where the reservations are. It needs to be redone. We need to have some new showers put in down there also. And we're working on that. And we're working also on, we are going to raise the price of renting. It's hard to say, but we haven't done it for years, so now we do have to raise it. And it will be only because we need to offset the expenses we're going to be having this year, bringing our park up to where it's going to be a feasible place for families to be there with their children. And as far as the ballpark, I think we're going to hold that until later on because that's part of our deal, okay? Anything else?
Nope. Thank you. President's report. Like we said in the park, I don't know if y'all know, but the village has applied for a grant to put in more docking down in the campsite area and to redo the bathroom. So that's in the works. That's all I can tell you. It's been submitted. I couldn't even tell you a dollar amount because the engineers haven't came back with it yet, but they know the plan. The rec plan's been submitted. The grant will be in April 1st. And we'll just keep up to date on what's happening with that. Just so the council knows, our revenue and taxes is $8,000 down this year. So we looked at it, we'll absorb it. It is what it is. It's $8,000 less. In 101, it's $2,200 less in local streets, which definitely will absorb it. It's $550 in the water. So we now know that amount. A few other things I want to address. There's been some talk around town about our police department being eliminated. I just want every one of you to know, nothing has changed. The budget amount is there. We've replaced our officer. Nothing's changed, so it's all stories you're hearing. Our police department is just what it was last year. It's on good track. So I don't know where those stories came from, but don't believe it. The other thing is there have been comments to village council trustees, and just so we all know it, that to release information. I mean, and it's all foilable information, I agree, but I think it's bad protocol for people to approach a trustee wanting them to give information about the village. So the policy is, it is what it is. Village information is released through the village office. It's not there's anything to hide, but I don't think it's fair to put Rob or Rod or anybody on the spot and say, would you please give me this? That's not their duty as a trustee. So we just ask that everything goes through the village office. I think that's pretty simple. We also ask that there's also been people contacting businesses that we do business with, wanting them to give them things about what's going on between the village and them. I think that's incredibly wrong. If you have a question to the village, bring it to the village. You know, just bring it to Pat, call me. We'll answer them, but take them where they belong. There's talk about the house that was burned downtown, there's a lot of talk about the village making it into a parking lot. That's never been village-owned property that I know of. It's not village property. There's never been any talk about buying it as village property or putting a parking lot on it. So once again, it's just, it was privately owned, it was foreclosed on by a bank, the house was burned down, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the village and a parking lot, so now you know what that is. And other than that, things have been nice and quiet. Accept the motion for approval of the bills. Prepaid in the amount of $456.92. Payroll in the amount of $5,016.89. Payables in the amount of $15,556.11 for a total approved amount of $21,029.92.
Make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Support.
Motion by Chapman, support by Clark. Any discussion? Pat, roll call.
Batterby,
Yes.
Bodling,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Thayer,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Cruising.
Yes. Motion passes. Is there any new business? I have none. We're not going to address under action items. Action items, logging, what we will do with the $14,000 we received off the logging project. So I will read you the correspondence I've gotten. If anybody has any more, please let me know, but I don't think there is. Of course, Ralph spoke on the ballpark, that's up to the ball line. So we know that idea's there. Another suggestion is to invest it in the safety of the village residents. Many times a day, I see people speeding through downtown. I know the police department can't be everywhere at once. My suggestion is to purchase a speed trap machine, those machines that sit on the edge of the road and show you how fast you are going. This might help to slow things down. Alternatively, I would suggest a traffic study and the possibility of installing a traffic light at the four corners. Regardless, traffic is moving much faster than 25 miles per hour through the downtown area. Thank you. So that's one I've got. Another one was wondering if village public restrooms downtown Central Lake could be considered for use of our logging money. I'd like you to consider the softball field fence and possibility of installing public restrooms uptown near the majority of the business locations. I'd like to see a beach put in at Thurston Park, a real beach in a safer section of the waterfront. We all know that currents are crazy right next to the bridge, and the lack of a real beach leaves the summer campers and visitors wanting more. So they choose to go to Barnes Park or to the Torch Day Park to play. In regards to the logging money, suggestion for use. Extending the sidewalk past the corner store, around the bend, and down the road to the village limit sign. Many people walk the side of the road in this area. It would be great if we had a sidewalk to provide safe foot travel. Here's a letter from Quinberry Central Lake Athletic Director. Thank you for the opportunity to correspond with the council on behalf of Central Lake Athletics. I was excited to learn that the village council is looking at the potential of replacing the existing softball fence. I was thrilled to hear of the possible renovation. I would like to be the first to recognize the long-standing relationship of generosity the village has shown Central Lake Public Schools. We have been honored to use the Ron Donaldson Field for over 30 years. We recognize the benefit to the athletic program as well as the physical education program. Since the field has been such an asset, I would like to encourage the council to consider renovating the fence. The field's use for regular season contests and state tournament games will be improved with a new fence. The Central Lake Boosters Club is considering aiding the softball program in purchasing fence cap if the project is approved by the council. We are excited to work with the council to keep the Ron Donaldson Field one of the nicest in northern Michigan. So, that's what I have. So is there any discussion? I would like to say that it's $14,000. I think that eliminates quite a few of these public restrooms. Cannot happen for that amount of money. A beach at Thurston Park just can't happen by DEQs. I mean, it's a great idea. We probably all love to see a beach down there, but we can't just go take sand and create a beach and dump it in the water. The sidewalk out past the corner store, once again, is way over that budget, I'm sure. We'd be cutting down trees, we'd be excavating, because there's not replacing a sidewalk, there is no existing sidewalk there at all, and basically no room for one right now with a lot of
You'd
wood.
have to bring fill, you'd have to take into consideration everybody's driveway you go through, raise and lower, it's huge.
And Scott assures me he is dealing with downtown traffic, correct?
The best we can.
The best we can. So not that they're not all good ideas, but they're, I think Scott's gonna pay a little more attention to that and see if there's a problem there.
The fence project is 11-3 on this.
Yes, we have three bids in front of you.
Oh, yeah, 11,974.
And then the 13 one.
Yeah, 13,275.
I corresponded with 6 companies on fences, 3 of them got back. That's all as far as I can go.
And within this project too, I don't know if you did, the fence that's up there now along the sidewalks would come out and not be replaced. We would trade true, I don't know if you've all seen it, it'd be a true ball diamond fencing. The fence along the sidewalks is in such bad shape that it will look better with it gone.
I think we should consider the fence project then. And
I think it's overwhelming support compared to just the email, a couple of emails that we
I think it
received.
benefit just as many or more people as any of the other projects, which all seem like pretty good projects.
Yeah, I personally don't know much more you can do with that money that makes such an impact in our community. Up by the school, they use it.
And it's not just the school, we have youth leagues up here that come in and use it. How nice is that to show the young kids that we care? You know, that's the biggest thing that got me excited.
I know for probably the 6, 7 years I've been on the council, I hate to say it, but we've all talked about it being an eyesore and we wish we could do something with it. Now we have that opportunity to do something with it.
Wouldn't that also bring other leagues in here to have their,
The other league thing traditionally is a nighttime thing, and we don't have lights, and lights would be expensive, and I'm not saying somebody couldn't, you know, we've in the past, we've had some softball tournaments there, like pitching machine tournaments and stuff, and the community probably gets as many people come to our softball field as anywhere else in town. I mean, yeah, July 4th, the town is packed with people for the fireworks. That's one day. The softball field has people coming from the first game in April all the way through till almost August, where people from other parts of our area and out of the area are coming. The better show we make there, the more chance we have somebody coming and spending the extra $5 at the park.
I agree,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
I think we've had community support too to help with the removal of the fence, right? People gladly
We'll
come
put on
tear
a
it out of
work
there.
bee, and I'll bring up my loader, my lift, we can pull fence posts, we'll help in any way we can to keep the cost down. I know we can get, enough people to help tear the fence down and make it, everything is efficient, so the village workers aren't overwhelmed. I know those guys are gonna help too, but, I think we can make it happen real fast, and, we'll do anything we can to help the fence.
And it's also been requested that you can help me with this, Scott, that we save the old fencing, so we'll get a use out of that at the other ball field, correct?
Oh, yeah, it was just something that Mac and I talked about last year was, you know, not asking for money, just looking at possibly building a batting cage down by the sports complex. But with the fence, the old fence, we could use that to hang it up on the side and on the top, just like it is at the softball field. So,
Would it be possible for the athletic division to help these boys help
Help.
by tearing the fencing down?
Well, I think
Oh,
they'll
we're
be
gonna
great.
make them help, they'll be help.
If you know what, I think they'll work out.
I can help you talk about
We'll have
that.
lots of it, I don't know if I get the boyfriends from the girls on the softball team will be there.
The girls can do just as much as the
Yeah,
boys.
they'll be there, I promise, it'll be a,
Sitting there watching.
it'll be a community event.
Have you looked at the different bids and see which one would you
I have, I've looked at all three of them.
Maybe a
So-
recommendation of one over the others?
Nope, I have no recommendation on that. But what I would like to say on the old fence, we planned on salvaging the old fence,
Because it-
and we had purpose
my
for
God,
that.
I keep,
That was for out here?
Up at a well house up here, just so people are aware of that. If we don't
Would you
use
use
it all,
all of that up
that's
there?
fine, but I can't tell you how many feet we're gonna use.
The one from Perfect Fence is 13,275. It's quite a bit more. The other two are pretty much in line, 11,974 and 11,300. Are they, is Perfect Fence planning to do more, or? I don't see any.
They all bid the same project.
They all bid the same project from start to finish, 10 foot on center, cement in the poles, 9-gauge wire.
Not any heavier fencing than.
They all went by specs that I wrote out right here. Bill, you might not have seen that, so. Right on the bottom of my specs.
Sam, you say they are all 10-foot on center
All
poles?
posts are 10 foot on center, all top rails are 1 5/8". I believe all end caps are 2 inch or bigger, end posts. Bottom wire, I think is 9-gauge, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I have on the specs. Don't remember what gauge wire it was. I told everybody got the same piece of paper
It's all nine.
from that fax.
It's all nine.
It's all 9-gauge, yeah.
Petoskey,
And the reason we went with the heavier fences so it doesn't bend in the future,
it's all nine.
to make it, so it stays up a lot better.
So there wouldn't, in your mind, there isn't any reason why we wouldn't take the lowest bid then?
And then, no, I know nothing about fence.
Anybody else know more about it?
You know, I think there might be a few questions to answer, but I mean, really, all in all, it's here.
You know, with the 3 bids that you have, I personally contacted Perfect Fence, Grand Traverse Bay Fence, and Petoskey Fence, and I asked them all the same question. Have you ever done softball, baseball fields? And they all said the same thing, yes. So, do you have any we can go look at? They got a list of them, a big arm list where you could go and look at them. They all got,
Did any
So-
of them say Central Lake baseball field?
nope.
Somebody worked up there that didn't work out good, and I should have thought of that before, but I don't know. Whoever did the fencing like, about 2 years ago with the backstop and stuff, they probably got a sign on the thing, but that would concern me, because there was lots of problems with that company. But I don't know which it was, I just thought of it as you know, it never occurred to me before to mention it, but.
Well, here's my thought. I would love to see us approve it if we do, not to exceed like $12,000, because as we're sitting here now, we have questions. I mean, has anybody asked Grand Traverse or Petoskey, can you do it by, within our time frame by that day? I mean, because we do have a time frame. I'm just saying, they're so close. If we approve it not to exceed $12,000, we have the next week or so to ask these questions. We don't have to wait till next month to come back and say, wow, Grand Traverse can't get it done for 2 months.
Your $11,300 bid, I did ask Grand Traverse Bay Fence Company if it can be done. The first ball game is the 15th of April. Am I right, Ralph?
Yep.
And they said they will have it done before their first ball game. They were the only ones that would commit to
But
doing it by that
But they
time.
truly didn't. All I have is this.
Well,
I mean, this,
it's,
what, you know, you've been down that road with contracts before, what they're committed to is what we accept. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're not good, or one's not good, or one's not good. I'm just saying I think we should nail down things like dates. And I don't think we want another month to do it. We want to move on.
No, but we could-
If we do it.
We
Does that
could
make
do
sense?
that, we could approve an amount and then, leave
I
the,
mean, I just feel more comfortable. It gives us time to answer the questions, because we obviously have some questions, because we have them right here, right now.
yes.
But that's not my decision, that's just my opinion.
no, I think that's a good suggestion.
It's a good recommendation, put it that way.
I'll make
Needs
that
to be
motion.
completed by April 15th.
Right, I don't know what conditions. I'd make that motion that we approve the $12,000 from the logging fund, the money there to fencing.
Support by, motion by Chapman, support by Thayer. Any more discussion?
So now, we voted it in, when are we gonna
We haven't
actually?
voted it in yet.
We're not- I'm so sorry. I do have a question though.
Yes.
So, when are we gonna have this, now we've got the monies, what now is gonna happen in terms of getting the fence up and running? Because we don't wanna wait another month. Are we gonna have the Parks and Rec Committee sit down and look at it?
I would between Parks and Recs and the Finance Committee. I mean, the Finance has been approved in my opinion, so Parks and Rec. I just think that way you can do it tomorrow, the next day, it doesn't matter. But we can
Okay.
answer the questions we have of concern.
Well, like you said, I want a time frame as well.
Yeah,
Well,
but then I think we can do
we
it
should-
now.
Within the week then, is that?
We should put it in the motion that we give the village president the authority to sign the contract for one of these, whichever one he decides on there. And you can do the legwork to find out what.
I don't make that motion, Bill.
I just gotta explain to you how my legwork works. It's like Parks and Rec Committee, tell me what you want.
Well,
No, but no, that's fine.
yeah, you know what questions you want to answer, and we agree with you on the questions too, you know, the time frame is important.
Well, that should be A1.
Maybe check that backstop and see that it doesn't have a Grand Traverse fence standing on it.
Yeah.
That may be a concern then, but include that in the motion?
Rob, you've worked pretty close with
Yeah,
Ralph
more than
on
happy
going
to.
forward with this and
Yeah,
getting some
and
things
Layla, we're on the Parks and
together.
Rec Committee.
Yeah.
Denise, I know you've been
Iron it out,
busy, not to
but-
exclude you, I just know you've worked a lot of hours right now.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, there's been a motion by Chapman to approve the spending of up to not to exceed $12,000 for a fencing project at the Ball Diamond. Support by Thayer. Any further discussion? Pat, roll call.
Batterby?
Yes.
Bodley?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Thayer?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Cruising.
Yes. All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you.
Everybody's leaving now. Imagine that.
Is it something we
Thank you.
Hey, just take them on your own.
Sure, we're not legal.
They might have been here for one thing. Well, I'm glad we have the support.
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? I guess it's not they do districts or regional, sure.
Okay, last month, we made a copy of the proposed trustee manual out. If there's, I'd accept the motion to accept it if there's no discussion on it.
I've looked at it, I don't see any problems with it at all. It's all over the place.
This is pretty much what they suggested. It's just really plain and simple.
It was just tweaked a little bit. Not much
Right,
at all.
the intent is all still there. I make a motion, we approve this.
I'll support. Motion by Chapman to approve the trustee manual, support by Bodley. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Accept Pat's resignation.
No, we're not gonna do
I won't, no. Dear Village of Central Lake Council members, I am tendering my resignation effective April 30th, 2013. I will stay the month of May to train and work with the new clerk, if it is okay with the board. I will also be available to help whenever there is a need. Thank you for your support, Pat. There's no sense trying to talk her out of it. I've tried for a week, so. I'll make a motion that we accept Pat's resignation. Second by
With
Bob.
reservations.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
She wasn't staying no matter what we did. Joe, you probably know more about these than I do.
The IT contracts?
Can you walk us through them?
I know very little about them, but
That's more than that.
we got with Corey, we talked about it for quite a while now, of getting ourselves locked in with technical support in many different areas. These specific ones, everybody should have copies of all of them. One copy specifically is going to be all of his services together. There it is. For all the different contracts that we've got with Corey, one would be a wireless network support, which is for the campground Wi-Fi area. They had $11,000 initial setup for the year. Which would be, I'm sorry, $1,100 for the year, initial setup, with sequential years of $360. For the campground support itself, which would be the reservation system and IT for the computer, I believe it is, Corey, and that would be $1,270 initial setup, $570 for sequential years. The technical support, which would include Scott's computer and Pat's, 2 computers anyways, at $1,080, and sequential years also $1,080. There's no overtime hours, whatever that's allocated. Corey informed me today that he has got in with a group that he can now do remote access IT, and he also is supporting remote,
Monitoring.
well, monitoring, but I just lost, virus scanning and Trojan horse and different things, correct? Malware. That would all be part of our technical support we went with Corey and his options there. And then we also have the website support, which is just basically helping us monitor, update. There's still a lot of things in our website, which will be that is HTML writings. I don't have a lot of experience in, so I think going with that contracts helps us out a lot. So that would be that. If you guys any questions on the contracts themselves?
This one we should probably discuss, as we discussed the park reservation system. Am I right? That's the only one that only deals with the sport contract. Can we lay that aside to the reservation system?
Yep, Corey's gonna do a nice little presentation of a reservation system we're looking at doing, and that would include the support for that. We are gonna do that,
Which is the wide.
yeah, the campground support.
The wireless network support. That we're put on. Till we get the reservation system.
The wireless network,
Yeah, I can't do this one.
This one is the one we wanted.
We want it.
Yes, this one has been put out till the reservation. Yeah.
So if you want to just go from one at a time.
Yes.
And approve it. Is that
I
okay?
think that's a great way to do it, yeah. Okay, well, let's start with, first, the technical support for the Village of Central Lake, which would be the IT support for Pat's office, the clerk's office, and Scott there, which would be in the amount of $1,080 a year. Pat, just a quick question for you. Do you use Corey quite often for technical support?
It depends. I mean, it depends if I get stuck or I have something. I have used Corey in the past, where he was, available. But I guess it just depends on what I get into and stuff and whether I have that type of problem. Now, he did come down and put the spyware on for us.
think there's a definite need for support in the area, and for when our clerk gets hung up. Scott, I know uses Libby for a lot of stuff, he's real good with the computers, but.
Well, the support wouldn't apply to our police reports where we've got other things, but it would be nice to have somebody that I could call up. I mean, we don't technically use anybody because honestly, we don't have anything in our budget currently for that because it would come out of the police budget. Libby does a lot of it, kind
Well, we
of.
cut that in half then, Scott.
Well, I mean, I think there'd be something to say about the consistency and the fact that if there's anybody that could be needed, and I'm sure Corey could come in, or somebody like Corey could come in and say, these are things that you could be doing better, and, you know, catch us up to speed and stuff like that, so. Obviously, a computer that runs efficient is a police department that runs efficient, so.
It's very nice we got someone around.
I have a question. I'm looking at client shall receive 20% discount off of $60 an hour, which is $48 an hour. And that 12 months of service, I see that as the $576. Any additional time shall be billed at a reduced rate of $50 an hour. That's more expensive, it's not reduced.
Maybe it's a typo when they're at the look.
Which contract are you in there?
These were gotten different times for different reasons as well. So we can consolidate that a little bit too.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That'll just come up in a minute then.
So let me understand, it's a yearly fee plus the hourly fee?
No.
Did that, what he was talking was a different.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's three different.
We're talking about technical support.
Yep, technical support has no hourly rate and has no limit to hours.
Okay. There's an hourly rate on it for projects and upgrades, because that would be all the other for support of the systems we have in place now. If we want to upgrade or add a new system, of course, I mean, it makes sense to me that there's going to be a cost for that service.
Corey, just as we go forward here, all of your hourly rates and discounted rates across this would be the same when we go through, with like the typo that Rob was just talking about?
Yeah, I'll double check everything before we're finished, but it'll default to the cheaper rate, with the exception of the website stuff. I'll do whatever the website's set at, what it's set at.
I know, I'm okay with spending it personally, because we've just came to that day and age, as much as we need to move forward.
Where does it come from?
What's that?
Where does it come out of?
This is budgeted into Sports contracted services.
It would come out.
For a line item right now.
It would, I think what we had talked about, right now it would have to come out of contracted services. But I think we would try to look at putting I don't know if you want to call it a technical line item in there for just that kind of things. I don't know, that way we can track what we're paying for that stuff, but I know it's a lot of work for Pat to get into the budget, but.
Through the clerk's office thing?
Oh, yeah, this would be,
Or we can take it out of the police budget?
well, you know.
After rolling his eyes, so he won't say that. No, but it's how it plays out. I mean, I can honestly tell you, if it did, if all of a sudden we realized most of the money was being spent in the police department, of course we would budget more of the money out of the police department at that point, but right now, it is available in the budget, probably under clerk's contracted service.
In any way you look at it, actually, when you go across, it's in the 101. And because we work off of a fund budgeting, it doesn't really matter if it's out of Scott's, if it's out of Pat's, or where, it's still out of the 101. It's still out of the 101 account.
True.
But I'd make a motion that we accept Corey's contract for technical support for the village of Central Lake.
Support.
Motion by Bodley, support by Batterby. Any further discussion? Pat, roll call?
Batterby?
Yes.
Bodley?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Thayer?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
cruising.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tori.
We need that for you. All right, yeah, let's do the contract for the wireless network installation. As you guys all remember, last month, we had looked at wireless installs for the campground. I had stopped and talked with Corey and Mission Computers, and they wanted a chance to bid on this. Their bid came in, obviously, as everybody sees it there. For the wireless network support was $1,100 for the first year, $360 for the sequential years. That $1,100 is going to include the equipment and installation of the wireless network, which I believe is 3 omnidirectional antennas and a outdoor router system. It would be up to us to supply the power for the router and the omnidirectional antennas, but above that, or beyond that, pretty much is all Corey. He's
Internet as well.
Pardon me?
You need to provide the internet.
Yes, we have to provide the internet as well through Charter, which we talked about. Everybody else has that contract also. So I think that's a really good deal. Obviously, we have a large cost to setting up these things moving forward. We talked also that on this deal, we have a splash page that we can really manipulate to our advantage later, where we can charge for advertising on it. There's a lot of options for us of moving forward here. I think we're in the day and age where this is a good thing to have. Corey's quote came in again at $1,100 for the hookup, $360 for each additional. Datacom Solutions out of Traverse City, their quote was, I gotta find it here, the initial $1,200 for the installation, and there's where they were calling pretty much it's a maintenance-free setup. They just wanted to basically hook it up and walk away from it, and that again was $1,200 with only 2 omnidirectional antennas and the router. They call it a turnkey installation on theirs. Corey has looked into, if he gets this contract goes forward, he can remote manage that system also. If it goes down, he'll get a alarm sent directly to himself for the maintenance of it. He should be able to pretty much reset, reboot anything remotely for us. So if he's on the lake, on the north end of the lake, and goes down, and he has his phone, he should be able to respond to it quickly.
What makes it nice, he lives here. He's
Well,
got a
that-
business here, and that
Yes.
gives us better communication.
The only thing I didn't see on this, Corey, and maybe you can help me, as I'm not sure, is a minimum response time to problems. I know we talked about that a little bit. We never did
No.
narrow it down.
No, I can respond within 24 hours. Whether or not something's fixed or not within 24 hours is a different story. But that just requires, if it requires parts, they have to be ordered. We have to, whatever the downtime is going to be the downtime. With this omnidirectional network, there's 3 different antennas, and if any one of them go down, the network remains. If the main one that's providing signal, the other 2 go down, we can move one of those into that spot. So you still end up with a network. The chances of all 3 of them going down at the same time would be unlikely, unless there was a huge power surge of some sort that took out the whole system.
Better cut all the trees down so they don't get hit.
I know a logger.
Let's talk about that next time.
Sorry, they're just trying to help the village.
Yeah.
See the concern.
Maybe you could ricochet off of it.
Well, I think, and also with going with this, guys, we need to kind of look at the bigger picture. If we're gonna do wireless, obviously we have to do internet too, which is the Charter's contract. Everybody should also have a copy of that. Which, with the Charter contract at for $200 a month, it's a 5 meg down and a 5 meg up rate. Again, according to Andrew with Charter, there's no contract on this. We can change it at our leisure. It'd be $200 a month, plus the installation cost for that, and that's, again, that's the 100 meg down, 5 meg up. We can drop that down to a 100 or 50 meg down, 5 meg up for, I believe it was 130, 115 a month. So I think if we're gonna pass one, we kinda gotta do both of them. Again, like I had said last month, I also contacted Tempest Services out of Gaylord, who didn't even want to get into the business of Wi-Fi and campgrounds.
I think if we're going to Wi-Fi, we probably don't have many options other than Charter. Am I correct on that? It's Charter or...
There's other options, but much slower.
Yeah.
Charter's got the best speeds in the area.
You sure would. You sure
No, I got questions. On number 6, where you say support not to exceed 1 hour of service per month,
That's solid.
can I assume that to mean 12 hours per year? Because the park is closed 6 months.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just, it's a question I need to...
Yes. 12 hours per year.
After initial setup?
After initial setup.
And it says additional support shall be billed at a discounted rate, and that will be the...
If you guys decide you want another omnidirectional antenna installed.
No, but at what rate? Just because I look at it as a contract.
We're gonna hold that.
45.
Okay, I mean, I just making sure.
It states it here, doesn't it?
No.
On the next page, Ken.
Go to your next page.
Oh, I have 45 in there.
Oh, you missed, yeah, you
Oh,
missed
there
it.
was 1 hour plus of the... Okay, it's there. I didn't see it. My fault. Okay. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept Mission Computers, that's reorder the charter, yeah. Okay, Charter's bid for the internet service in the park, and Mission Computers bid for the installation of the wireless points and router.
A motion by Chapman.
Support.
Got Mission Computers contract for wireless support and Charter business for internet providers. Support by Batterby. Any other discussion? I just have one, and I know Joe will take care of it. Charter says this contract is accepted by Wednesday, January 23rd, 2013, so you'll make sure it still stays $200, right?
Yes, I will get back with them.
Cheaper one.
What's that?
Why aren't you going with a cheaper, the 135 a month? If they're camping, it don't have to be real
The
fast.
150? Well, what you end up with there, actually, is it's all in, it's not necessarily the speed of it, it's the amount of people you're gonna have on it. And you're absolutely right, at different months, we will drop down to the cheapest one. We'll probably start at the slower speed, and as we need, bump up to the larger speed. But if we don't approve going the larger, we're stuck at the lower.
I'm all for stuck at the lower, they're on vacation, let it be slow. Computer at the campground, I'm sorry, I'm like.
You know, most of that is for though,
you're
because a
right.
lot of the people that come up camping, and they're business owners. And they can conduct their business while they're on vacation. And it's just
Come up
because
here
they
to
can
slow
do it.
down.
And we just.
And they go to the other parks, because they requested, they want a Wi-Fi connection, and I honestly don't think it's for their kids to play on their computers or their games. A lot of it is from adults who want to be able to stay in touch with their business.
Ellsworth instituted the Wi-Fi a little while ago, and they've had a huge response in their campground with it.
And I agree, well, I'm all for we start out with the slower speed, and keep it there until somebody says something.
Sure.
I mean, I agree, why would we automatically go to the 200?
You can track all the use and you'll know whether the slowest speed or lowest.
I'll be able to see how the bandwidth's being used, how many,
Right.
what is gonna happen is I'll set controls in there that won't give the whole pie to everybody, or to one person. And I'll set controls in there that'll divvy out little pieces to people as they join. And then that helps to control the flow, and the more people you have, the smaller piece of pie everybody gets.
So you'll advise us when it's time to.
Well, certainly.
If it comes to that.
Absolutely.
So its motion for the month is 200 a month? Or the lower? What do we have?
Not to exceed, I think we agreed we'll start with the lower.
Not to exceed 200?
And we're gonna start at the lower, which would be 115 a month, but I don't think we wanna wait for a council meeting to bump up, so we're saying not to exceed 200 a month. So that way, if we have to bump up, it can be done internally.
I'm sure if it becomes a problem, we'll hear from our park manager.
I'm sure we will, yeah.
You know what I'm saying, so if it's at the lower speed and nobody's saying anything to Lyle, we're
gonna stay there, yeah.
We're good.
Well, I'm sure that'll let somebody know.
Cousin Hugh Creek. Lyle's in for a big surprise when he comes in and changes.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tyler?
Yes.
Thayer?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Bodley?
Yes.
Batterby?
Yes.
Cruising?
Yes.
Hope it says retired.
Motion passes, thank you.
I know what you're thinking.
She did it without doubling, I see her go backwards.
Just shake it up.
Once a meeting.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Okay.
Okay, guys, our next one is gonna be our website support. Again, the website support was $576 per year. At, extra hours purchased were $45 per hour. This is the one that I had Corey do this one up back when we first launched the website, and move forward. And so I'm not necessarily sure that this at this time is a huge bonus or benefit to us in cost. We have most of our material on the website that we are going to put on there. And anything that we don't, even at a standard hour with Corey at $60 an hour, I'm not sure that we're going to spend more money. So at this time, I think we should wait on the website support. A little ironic, because this is the first one I had you work on and had you work the hardest to get.
Thanks, Joe.
It's also the one that you make the least amount of money on.
That's why I'm okay with
Table this in,
That would be, my option would be to hold off on the website support right now, but if anybody else has a question, they want to, they think it should be, but
You've been more involved in the website than me, so I'm gonna just go with the recommendation. All right.
Denise?
Honestly, I don't know.
I would make a motion to table it.
Okay.
Motion by Batterby, support by Bodley to table the website support contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We are on to this, correct? All right. Can we- Yes.
Okay.
All right. Yours and that. This is on our park reservation system, like we talked about, and Corey's done a lot of work on it, and he has, it's all yours.
Well, thank you. I was asked to look into the website reservation system for the village, for the campground. I looked at 3 or 4 different options out there. There's a lot of bad campground reservation software out there. There's a lot of bad reservation software just in general. It's hard to use. It's confusing. It doesn't interface well with online payments. I narrowed it down to 3 options. From those 3 options, I talked to each company. This is the one that I decided to show tonight. This is a company called Sunrise, and they have it's a 2-part system. First off, there's the online component. A customer that would be interested in accessing, reserving a campground site would be able to access it from our website. There would be a link to this page, or a page similar to this one up here. I don't know if everybody can see that or not. But what this is a calendar. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's even better. There's a calendar, so if a customer comes in and wants to reserve a series of days, they can select the days. They can say what type of site do they want, and these are specified by us, so that, you know, if you want a back-end site. Oh, I might have to reload this, I'm sorry. Let's reload that. So this shows all the available sites that are available the 11th through the 15th. We would be able to choose by type of site if there were tent sites or back-end site only sites. Like for instance, these are labeled as back-end only sites. If you had you can specify what kind of vehicle you have, RV type, the length, because obviously these are different lengths. If you have any slide outs, and that didn't change, so that means that you can have a slide out. If you require a 20 amp service, and then you're able to choose a site, and you can click on it, or you can choose them from a list. It shows you the site that you would have, the estimate of how much it would cost. It would let you go ahead and continue. You type in information. This is as a customer. And then you continue to fill it out. I don't know if it'll let me do this without occupancy 2. Let's see if I can see. No, I already did this earlier.
What's nice with this system too, I've looked at it quite a bit with Corey, you almost can't mess it up. If you notice up in the upper left-hand corner there's the red box. Basically it's telling you didn't do something, you've got to complete it before you can move on. And also if you get to the very end and shut down without actually finishing it, it'll send you an email that tells you you didn't finish your reservation.
And it takes you from this screen, apparently it's not letting me through.
That goes on the computer, don't it, Lyle?
Well, this actually will be a website that customers can see. It'll link from...
But it will come into his computer.
It will. This is the front end. This is what the customers will see. But
Okay.
there's a back end system.
Okay.
And let me refresh this to make sure we're still connected. Yeah, just a second. And this would be the back end of the system. Once the customer's gone ahead and reserved their campsite, this is what Lyle or anybody else would see if they logged into this, whoever was managing the site. The sites are all numbered and labeled. The days of the week are across the top. It shows you who's coming in and who's departing and when they're going to be there. It shows you 10 sites at a time, 1 through 10. And then you're able to page through if you have multiple, 11 through 20 and so on. You're able to see who's coming in, so I can click on this customer. He's checked in. I double click on him. It tells me information about him that's already been entered because he's already checked in, but it shows you the total of the reservation, the arrival date, the departure date, who's in. You can have address information, what kind of trailer they have, what kind of vehicle they have, so that you don't have people, you have record of it anyway. We'll go back here. It'll also show you via map, so you're able to click and see who's on. It's not gonna let me do it on this demo. You're able to create new reservations from this site. So this is the admin reservation. Lyle or whoever's down there, or even during the off months, will be able to go here, create a new reservation, and type everything in. What that does, by keeping reservations here and the online site, they're synced together. So you'll see what's happening online. You'll be able to make your own reservations. Anything that you made will show as taken online. It'll show you from the back end here, it'll show you the current guest, who's staying where, how much they paid, if they owe any money, depending on how we have it set up. You can click on guests and find out information about them. Scheduled arrivals, you'll know how many people are due to come in and how many nights they have and how much they owe before they come in. Scheduled departures, you know who's leaving. Recent reservations online or in person. Recent invoices. What's nice about this too is now we're able to run reports. We're able to look at, I mean, there's a million different reports here. There's 8 pages of reports. And we'll have to figure out which will be most useful, but you can look at all invoices over a certain date range. All guests with a certain tag. If you want to know everybody that came in with 4 trucks, you can do that. All reservations on a particular site. You can look at deposit reports. I mean, there's just an endless number. Once you have this information, we can shuffle it any way you want. It's a large database that we just have to ask the right questions to get our answers. Let me see what else I got here. Now, as far as cost goes, well, before I hit cost, there's also online training. So let's say somebody forgot how to check in a guest. I'll show this video because it's like a 2-minute video.
In this training video, we will show you how to create a new reservation. This is the new reservation screen, and you can always get to this screen by clicking on the new reservation button. To start with, we'll select the arrival date and the departure date. This will then populate a list of sites that are available for that date range. You can filter this further by site type, amenities, and RV type. It updates in real time the number of sites available for the criteria in which you are putting in. We will then select our site type, or our site name, and you can view the site details on this one. Once we have our site selected, then we can choose the guest that will be staying at our site. You can either search for a guest, or you can create a guest. To create a guest, please select the Create Guest button. The only required fields in this window is the first and last name. Other fields are email, address, and phone number. To create, click the Create button. Once we have our guest, we can select the membership that applies to their reservation. Next, we can add occupancy, and we can also add an RV or an additional vehicle. In this screen, there is no required fields. You can add as much information as the customer gives you. And here is the screen for reservation charges. It's updated in real time as you create the reservation and gives you the total here. You can also send an email confirmation to your customer by clicking here. When everything is set to create the reservation, simply click the Create Reservation button. 2 things to note: if you're logged into your campground as an administrator, you can manually rate the reservation by clicking here. the arrival date are the same thing. That concludes creating a reservation.
So that kind of showed how easy it was. I actually spoke with a woman out of Maine that owns a campground that's implementing this software. They're switching from a different company, actually one of them that I looked at for Central Lake. And it was much more complicated, harder to use, and they charge higher rates. She said her favorite thing about this particular one is the ease of use, but it also, when they book a reservation, it gives them a confirmation email a few days before. I imagine we'd set that up, and it gives them a reminder email that they're set for the reservation, and then after they check out, it sends them a thank you email. So what that does is that helps with customer retention. That gets you maybe another reservation next year or later on in the summer by having that reminder. And you could put coupons in those emails. You could say, you know, don't forget, you know, Bachman's has got a special going on this week, or, you know, however you wanted to do it. But that's something that's really not advertised well on this, but that's something that the software does as well. This is a whole system, so this would be the only way you would take reservations would be through this particular system. Otherwise, you defeat the purpose of it. It does require you to have credit card processing, which I'm not aware that the village currently has. I talked with this company actually at length. Spoke with the president of the Sunrise, and they recommend one of three. And out of those three, they lean strongly towards one called JetPay. And I contacted JetPay, and I do have a rate sheet, which I believe Joe has.
Yeah. Corey, are you done with this presentation at the current time? So then we'll kick the light on and go over the pay scales and stuff like that.
Well, I can show, I was going to show taking a credit card too.
Okay.
Because one of the things with the credit cards is you'd actually have to have a machine. There'd be a little USB device that would plug into the computer that would allow you to take cards. And it's actually fairly simple. I was going to show just so that you have an idea. I think it's like 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
In this training video, we will show you how to accept payment by swiping a credit
Isn't that what Lyle was talking
on
about?
the invoice details screen. We can accept payment by clicking the accept payment button. You may have to scroll down in the accept payment window. Then simply choose the card which you'll be taking payment. The card number field will automatically take the cursor. When you're ready, click the click to swipe button. Swipe your card, and the card information fields will pop up. Then to finish taking payments, click apply payment. That concludes taking payment by swiping your credit card.
So this would be the entire credit card processing for the campground. You wouldn't have two different systems. You wouldn't have a separate machine that you would swipe and have to balance against an online payment. So that's all I needed for the video portion of it.
Vicki, would you turn that mic back on, please? Thank you.
Corey, is there any credit card that's limited in the JetPay?
Discover, I mean, do they pretty much accept all of them?
Everything except American Express is a little bit more expensive.
Guys, I would have got some more, I just got it this afternoon also, and I actually forgot to make copies in the office over here.
Corey, can they pay online ahead of time and show up and not have to bother Lyle? Or do
Yes.
they all have to go through Lyle?
Oh, well, it's all how we decide to set it up.
Okay.
You're still gonna have to check in, I imagine.
Check in, but I'm saying,
Yeah. As far as swiping credit cards, my recommendation would be to have pay in full online. So you're just
Done
done
with
with,
it,
don't
yeah.
do deposits, don't do anything. And I also recommend, because there's a cost to this service, and in an attempt to recoup some of the cost to this service, charge a convenience fee online. And not a large amount, $5 just per reservation. That helps to recoup the cost because they do charge, there's a $79 fee per month for this system. There's a $3.50 per reservation taken online. So if you charge $5 per online reservation, that'll help recoup that cost.
now, we're only open for 6 months of the year, so it wouldn't be It'd only be $79 for 6 months, right?
No, that's actually a full year. You want to take reservations and all.
Oh, yeah, we would, that's right.
And another thing I found quite interesting in talking to the woman in Maine was most of the reservations were made between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m.
Really?
So,
Really?
yeah, that's what she told me. That's what she's seen on her end.
Oh, my.
So, obviously nobody's gonna be calling at that hour, or at least answering the phone.
Did she mention when they have a time, when the day starts or when their day ends?
You know, I didn't get into that with her, but she said she'd be happy to answer any questions they
Because
had.
the check-in time and the leaving time's got to be also set.
Well, what this company will do is they will send us a campground packet with all that information, requesting all that information. They've done this before for many different campgrounds. So they know the ins and outs and then the checkout times and how to set things up.
Sounds interesting.
Corey, a couple of quick questions. Ken just pointed out to me, there's a monthly minimum fee of $25 for the jet pay.
Well, I negotiated on behalf of the village and they will waive that because we're only using it 6 months out of the year.
Okay, well, that's great, because there's also a debit card transaction fee of 15 cents actually.
15 cents.
And a monthly of $2.50, and there's also a ACH fee of $12.95.
Those are all optional. You can choose not to accept debit cards.
Okay.
You do want to do the get reporting. I talked to, I wish I could remember his name, Tyler, Mr. Tyler, at great length this afternoon after I'd spoken, after I'd given you that quote. He said that you do want that $2.50 fee monthly from getreporting.com. What that does is if you ever have to dispute a charge, that's a line item, everything that's been purchased. So he says that for $2.50 a month, it's a way that you can kind of protect yourself. The automatic clearinghouse rates and fees, that automatic clearinghouse has to do with checks. If you want to make sure the check that somebody is writing you is good, you can choose not to accept checks, first off. But if you want to choose, you can choose to purchase their service. That is an extra add-on thing. And what that allows you to do is type in the routing number and the check number, and it will authorize that check if there's funds in the account. If there's not funds in the account, that's declined, and you don't take the check. Monthly access is $12.95. I asked him about that. What that has to do with was they take on all the PCI compliance issues. They don't pass that on to you. They have an insurance policy of sorts that helps to protect you against getting bad checks and bad credit cards. So that's what the monthly access is. And we can speak with him again if there's more questions. He was actually quite helpful, and he was better able to explain it maybe even than I am. So the automatic clearinghouse is free. The 0.30% for the Visa, MasterCard, Discover Network, that is above the interchange fee. And what the interchange fee is, there's approximately 250 different types of credit cards out there, the actual banks that issue credit cards. Out of those 250 types, there's an average of about 1.78% that you would pay to be able to take that card. The interchange fee is the percentage above that. What it would be whatever that percentage is, the 1.78 on average plus the 0.30, and then you have 15 cents per transaction. It makes sense if you boil it down, but it's kind of hard to explain out loud. There is going to be no minimum monthly fee.
So when we're all said and done, the jet pay fee, to say we're just gonna use credit card.
Just credit cards. You are paying 15 cents per transaction plus 1.78% on average, because it depends on what they use for a credit card. If I use a Discover card, that particular card might have a 2% interchange fee. So that it's the interchange fee plus the 0.30.
You have to raise your rates higher just to come even on this.
Credit cards are expensive to take. Nobody likes to do them. But looking at this kind of system versus, like I take Square down at my shop, the little Square device that plugs in. he explained the difference between them, and there's only about 8 true, I think it said 8, true credit card processors out there, where they actually process the credit cards. All these others are aggregators, and these aggregators can actually do things that the credit card processors cannot, and one of them is take control of accounts, and so they don't recommend anybody actually, like PayPal's an aggregator, Square's an aggregator. There's many of them out, there's different credit card companies that are. They don't recommend you use an aggregator, they want you to use a true processor because of the insurance that they offer, because of the fees they offer are gonna be lower.
What's the assessment fee? Visa assessment, MasterCard assessment, Discover assessment?
Where are you seeing that?
Right on the top of the rate schedule.
Put it on merchant main.
Schedule A.
I'll have to ask on those particular, because we went more or less over the actual rates and fees, and I'm not sure what the assessments have to do with the fees.
So I guess what bothers me about this, so they can't tell me if I swipe my Visa card, how much does it cost me? Because other places do. I know a lot of people accept credit cards. They're gonna tell you it's $1.50 and X percentage or whatever it is. So they have it open-ended.
It's only open-ended as far as the different types of cards that people have.
But then why do other companies not do that?
Because they're aggregators. There's a lot of aggregators out there that charge a flat
Flat
fee.
Like PayPal.
But they also have a lot more control over your accounts. And they also charge a higher percentage.
Who do they bill that fee to?
The 1 or 2% comes out of your take. So
The village pays.
Yep.
Because other companies bill the credit card user, which takes it out of our hands.
And you can do
Which is
that.
cleaner, because that way we don't have to get involved in that.
I
I
spoke
mean, they know if
with-
I'm gonna swipe my Visa card, you're gonna pay 35 cents. They make the choice. And it doesn't come 35 cents billed to us that we get back, it's completely off our books.
I spoke with Tyler at the Campground Software, and he said that we can charge, they can build into their system the additional interest fee, the swipe fees and all that stuff. They can build that in so that it gets charged to the customer. So, again, with a convenience fee to help cover the costs. It might cost, maybe we do a $6 convenience fee for doing online. That'll cover the 15 cents plus the percentage of the credit card
$6
swipe.
for me, I would, if somebody told me it cost $6, I'd tell them they're absolutely crazy. $6 is an outrageous fee to use a credit card. Does anybody disagree with me that pays with credit cards? This should be a small fee, and the fee should be billed to the person using the credit card, not to the village.
Is there any, with this,
That's, to me, is the way it usually works.
with this particular system, is there any other options besides JetPay that work?
Well, there's 3 options, but all credit card companies work the same way. When you have a credit card company, I as a consumer pay interest, 12% interest, whatever my credit card is. I as a business also pay a fee. I will run a charge for $100, I get $94 of that. Because of the percentages involved. So that's the cost of doing business. If I want to try to make money, that's what you have to do for convenience sake. You can charge whatever those costs are. As far as a credit card, this is going to add very small amount to the total. You're talking less than probably 1%. You're talking 75 cents per transaction for $20 to $25 transactions that it's actually going to cost. Include it in your convenience fee for doing stuff online, and it'll cover itself.
And we can limit the type of cards that we choose to.
Sure. You can say no American Express, they're more expensive. You can choose, in order to do online transactions, you have to do credit card processing. You don't have a choice. Nobody is going to pay any other way. And I wouldn't recommend doing PayPal. I wouldn't recommend doing, there's other ways as far as other credit card processing, but you still have the fees. I've gone through this a lot in the last year with my company, and we get inundated with credit card companies trying to get us to switch over to them. And this, believe it or not, makes pretty good sense.
I think it's I think that's a great system. I'm confused on the credit card billing. I think I was just talking to Bill, when somebody comes to Bill and uses a Visa card, it's a set fee for that Visa card and X percentage on the dollar amount. It doesn't vary by which bank issued that Visa card or anything else. So he knows what it costs to accept Visa, he knows what it costs to accept MasterCard, they don't accept Discover because it's too expensive. And this company's saying it might vary depending on what bank issued the Visa card. To me, that's absolute not, I mean, I'm not saying that's not the way they do business, but I don't know if that's the way I want to do business.
Well, that's true, that may vary that amount, but, I mean, who's your credit card processor? That's what it boils down to. There's a million of them out there trying to get your business. You get sales calls all the time, and they try to confuse you and tell you they're gonna save you money and stuff. There's only, like this, according to JetPay, and I haven't researched this myself, there's only 8 or so true credit card processors out there. Everybody else is an aggregator. Aggregators have better control over your bank accounts. They can actually freeze your accounts according to JetPay. Nothing that you want to be able to, you don't want anybody having that much control over your actual banking accounts.
So if we were just accept Visa and MasterCard, we just said them are the only 2 credit cards we accept, would there be a set?
We can call him again and get some better answers. I mean,
I think
that's,
someone,
and if you'd like, you're more than welcome to come down, we can get on the phone with him together so we understand it.
I mean, if he said the ranges from here to here, I'd be more comfortable with it. You know, like the ranges, I don't know what, but to just say it's whatever they charge you by this, to me, there has to be an amount set on it. You know, if the range is between 1% and 3, or 15 cents and 35 cents, I can wrap my brain around that, just to say it's a fee, but we're not sure how much.
Well, he did tell me that it averages 1.78%. Between the 250 different credit cards that are out there, the average is 1.78.
It's easier to get a number if you limit the number of credit cards or which credit card you're gonna take.
Right, as far as Visa, MasterCard, Discover, right?
Yeah, I just,
Well, but he's also talking about drawn off of different banks. Chase, Bank of America, these other companies that actually issue the cards. That's why there's 250 different types, all these different banks out there that issue cards. So he was going beyond the Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express.
And beyond that, we pay the 15-cent transaction fee.
Yes.
So, if somebody, let's go with the 1.78% on an average. You rent your campground for 4 days, it's $100. It's $1.93 you're paying to use that reservation system. Now that I can wrap my brain around that figure. That's an acceptable figure. To me, I would pay $2 to do it. Then my other question was that would be billed, because we talked with Assist on that, and they bill to the customer, correct? The fee goes to the customer. So at that point, if it was set up like that, the village wouldn't be absorbing that $1.93. You would, because you choose to pay it with your credit card. So you're going to pay the $1.93. You know what I'm saying? And I know everybody does it different. I'm just saying, we don't have that option with JetPay.
You can bill a customer whatever you want to bill the customer.
like the convenience.
To give you like a convenience fee.
You go to an ATM and it costs you $2.50 to get $50 out, or whatever you want.
Exactly.
I'm not against the fee. I'm just
I mean,
saying, when they bill that fee to the person using the card, and everybody else coming in paying cash doesn't pay the extra $1.93 we built into the rate. I know it's a piddly amount, but that's the way I look at it.
well, I think we gotta look at it in 2 different ways too. That $1.73 is for them being able to use a credit card.
Yes.
The $3.50 is for them to be able to use the reservation system.
Well, who charges $3?
Oh,
Sunrise charges another $3.
So you're now
Plus $80 a month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Plus $1,000 a
You're
year.
approaching $5.
$1,000 a year plus
No, see,
$350
that's what I'm saying.
reservation.
We're not. If there's not a way that this is billed to the customer who wants to use the online reservation system, I'm against it at that point. I mean, that's a convenience they need to pay for. I mean,
Well, I
that-
think,
that's
How
the way I look
how
at
many
it.
reservations do you think they're gonna make in a year?
actually, I
I'll
think
bet
this
when we
is
go to
gonna help
reservations,
us.
How many? Just throw a number. You think it's
Let's say
gonna
we
help?
got, let's say,
Think 200 a year?
you know, I think it's gonna build every year, so I
Okay,
couldn't
do you
give it to
think
you.
first year 200 people will reserve online?
Probably not the first year, no. First
Okay.
year, we'll probably lose money as
So if
say,
there's 200 a year, you gotta get $8.50 per reservation just for using the system. $8.50. Who's gonna, you're worried about the cost of fees, and then you're gonna add $8.50 to every reservation.
If they choose to do it.
Yeah, but if they don't choose to do it, you're still adding $1,000 a year to the campground.
The idea behind the reservation system is to increase reservations.
I
It's to
understand.
take them when Lyle can't answer the phone. So if most of your reservations, as this other lady had saw, are between 11 and 1 a.m., nobody's answering the phone there. If I can make a reservation in Central Lake between 11 and 1 a.m., and I can't at Wooden Shoe Park, and I'm sitting here deciding, trying to figure out my vacation at night, that's where I'm gonna go. You know, it's an attempt, the attempt is to increase
So I think
reservations.
part of our raising our rates down there was to offset some of these costs.
Right.
And to me, if we raise with our rate increase of $5 per cent across the board, it's an average of 25% increase, which should accumulate to about $10,000 to spend roughly even $3,000 of it in amenities that is going to improve the campground and hopefully will bring in more revenue and even boost that profit margin. I would think it would work something.
See, when you're it's noise when you walk in the park.
Yeah.
And too many people were disturbed to think they couldn't come in and they're on vacation. Where are they gonna go? That's why we opened it up to reservations a couple of years ago.
And it makes sense, and they actually
Yeah,
have a way
we're
to
getting
track
better.
it.
Yeah.
You know, this is more than just online reservations, this is being able to manage all your reservations for your entire campground and be able to process credit cards right there if you choose. So there's a lot to this system, it's not just a one part, it's not just an online component, it's the in-house component as well.
Okay.
How long do you gotta lock into this contract for? 1, 2 years?
That's a good question. I will find out. I believe it's at least a minimum of 1 year.
I thought it said 1 year in it.
Because if it's only 1 year, then you can opt out of it the second year if you find out it's too expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess it cost us $948 a year, $79 a month.
Plus $3.50 a reservation.
You can keep, I keep on you.
I know, you're trying to build a customer.
I mean, I'm not. If you want that option, you pay. You want to reserve by credit
But
card
doesn't the
online?
village pay this company $3.50? So you add an additional $3.50 for every reservation that's made.
Yes. Every online reservation.
Every online reservation.
Not reservations that are made in person. If they make a phone call, they make the reservation and they put it in the same system. There's no charge to that.
But how many people, if they wanted that reservation, would deny $3.50 to stay at the park like they want to?
It's all about convenience.
It's convenience and
Right?
it's off their shoulders to have their reservation and know it's there waiting for them. For $3.50, I'd do it.
Well, I think people pay up to $10 to go, to be honest with you. If you're going to make a reservation and you want the convenience of paying with a credit card and doing it ahead of time and doing it online, people don't pick up the phone to do things anymore. People do it all online. A majority of people, I shouldn't say everyone, but a majority of people, especially getting the 35 and younger crowds, that's really a big thing to be able to get online or look on your phone, hey, just reserve something and away you go.
Actually, what it could be on there to reserve online, it's going to cost $5.
Help to recoup some of the costs from the credit card process, a monthly fee.
I like that idea better.
And I will say, out of all of these ones that I explored, this was actually the cheapest. The other ones wanted a fee just to do any reservation. And no.
If they're gonna go online, it's gonna cost us $5. That'll be
Corey, right? That's $960 just to implement it, right off the bottom line, basically, $80 a month. Times 12.
Yes.
Just to even start it.
Well, just to even start to get the campground up, the reservation system up and running, you still have to be able to accept credit cards. So you have to, a little bit of, I don't know if there's any real setup with them, but you have monthly fees associated with that of $12 or whatever for the invoices.
So if we were to, somebody who calls in on gets the reservation, it will cost them an extra $5 to do that. Just on those who are coming through this, let's save us any money.
Costs more than that.
No.
Yeah, well.
$5 for one reservation?
No, because then you gotta add the credit card fee on top of the charge monthly, and you gotta add the $80 a month they charge for the campsite reservation.
It was a $100 reservation would be $5.43 to reserve.
We would internally.
How many reservations you have to get that? You gotta pay the $1,000 first.
Yeah, you're up front 960.
You're up, yeah, nine, excuse me, nine, well, it's just $12.
We're absorbing the cost of the reservation
We
system.
just raised our rental rates by 25%, so we can
Right.
improve things in the park. So if
Right.
we're gonna spend another $1,000 to make, you know what I'm saying, I I can see us absorbing that cost if we raise
I
rates.
can too.
What I'm saying is, I don't think we can absorb a cost of making the reservation. Does that make sense? And I guess I don't camp, I don't go, I'm sure a hotel, I bet if you check, you're probably paying $5 for using your card there. Either it's built in the
But-
rate.
Like
A
you
lot of
said,
do.
you would pay it.
I definitely, I would, if I had to go online to get a reservation, I'd be willing to pay that $5 to have it taken care of.
The lady I spoke with in Maine said she charges a convenience fee. Her sites range in price from $29.99 up to about $55. And she charges a convenience fee to help cover the cost.
What is that convenience fee up, Andy, on?
I think she said she just charged the $350, but she didn't do anything as far as credit cards.
How long she had her system up and running?
She's just switching to this system. The prior system, she used a company called Friend Communications, which I looked at as well. You thought the credit card processing rates were confusing. Theirs were even worse as far as just making regular reservations. They charged for anything you did. You make a reservation in person, you pay 0.5% to them. And so that was not even a good option. She switched from them. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, why can't we just put a 5% flat fee on it, whether it's 7 days or 4 days minimum, and charge them 5%?
5% of the total reservation.
Right.
Because if you reserve it for 2 nights, we just lost money.
That's how we made a minimum of 4-night reservation.
Not during the week, weekends only.
And only.
So if we reserve a site for $40 at 5%, we're gonna charge you $2 and it costs us $4 or $5.
Yeah.
Probably after this. Does Jet May have a system where they will take those transaction fees and the $350 and bill it to the credit card user?
JetPay does not themselves. We have to build that into the campground management software. You will still get those fees on the card, but make them up on the other side.
Okay, whatever you guys decide you.
And I guess that's what, as long as we're collecting that fee from them, then we could account for it. It would only be the sites that were reserved. They would know to reserve that, like, cost them
Those would be the ones
that
use the
much.
credit card.
Yeah, you build that right in, the list of fees that was populated in the video, that would show up right in there. It added in automatically, you wouldn't even see it. And we'll include that as one of the rules when they send a campground information packet. This is what they do, and we make sure that it fits the criteria that we set forth.
So the first year, you'd have to make an assumption as to how many reservations you're gonna make to know how to pay the base fee, the 900. So you.
I think we're gonna eat that
you'd
cost
say-
with the 25% rate we just had, with the 25% rate increase. Why did we raise our rates by 25%? We're gonna generate $10,000 more in the park next year. Why did we do that? I mean, that's what I'm saying.
For the money.
To improve
For
our
something
park.
like this, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, that's what we've done, so we can make improvements in our park as we go.
Can I ask about time frame? Time frame from the time I make that reservation, how long does it take to get the Lyle?
Kind of 3
After the credit card?
It's
Instantaneous, it's live.
It's real
You
time.
think it's that fast?
It is.
It is.
So,
Okay.
this contract takes on an average to get implemented from the time Corey will start it, 3 to 4 weeks to actually get it in place and up and running for us. The campground opens in roughly 6.5, 7 weeks. So we don't have a lot of time
Well, that's-
to get this in play if we're gonna go that route. Corey, there's no option of reservation and not credit card, correct?
No, how would you do that? I mean, there is no, you have to accept credit cards if you're gonna do reservations online.
Or the check, they'll accept check, that's for the 75¢.
Well,
ACH.
yes, there's automatic clearinghouse processing. I'm not sure how that works with the online component. That's,
But still,
we'll have to find out.
yeah,
The price of the fees, just not.
they set this up entirely, that's linked to our website?
I have to set up the link to the website. There will be online reservations here.
Click and you
Yeah,
can go.
and as part of doing this, kind of built into my fee, what I was gonna charge for is revamping that part of the website to match, or, right now it's just a takeover from the old site as far as the text and pictures and such.
And I don't think we should take checks. I think it should be strictly online with credit card.
You don't have a problem with it if
Or
it's.
cash. If they wanna pay the 75% fee, use a check.
We're not paying anything extra to have that. Well, we would be because we would have to get the monthly access and we put these others into it, so. For a very minimal cost, we could accept your card.
Most everybody knows how to use a credit card or a debit card.
You're gonna charge at the campground for credit cards then too?
Charge what?
You're gonna charge the same thing at the campground when you reserve when you're using a credit card?
You show up there and reserve it?
Yeah, you show up and you want to
You're
swipe
using their
their
system, right?
Well, that's true, you're not getting charged the $3.50 per reservation when you're using their system, but if you use the credit card.
okay, the $3.50 wouldn't be.
No.
You're just would be like the dollar or whatever, about a couple bucks for a $100 site.
Yep.
You swipe the card.
You can charge a convenience fee. There was actually a law passed now recently that you can actually charge your customers whatever your credit card rates are, up to a certain amount.
Can you do it now?
How does the money flow to the village?
The money flows to the village, your village still pays the fee, they recoup it when they charge the customer.
I mean, how does it show up?
Oh, this creates a merchant account. So there's a separate account, and every night it batches out and it goes into a predefined account, your general fund, wherever you put it.
Okay, then we set up for it to go to.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, there's a difference between debit and credit in this too?
From what I understand, and this I do not know much about, the maximum fee they can charge for debit card rates is what they charge, and it's 0.50% above interchange, and I don't understand why it's different. That'd be a question for them.
So I think probably more people use debit cards now than use credit cards.
But you can use them as credit cards.
Yeah, I use credit.
So does that mean it gets the credit card rate, or does that mean it gets the debit card rate? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that.
Okay.
I'm probably not a good one to make an opinion because I don't can't. I just know anywhere else I go, hotels and stuff, I used online reservation system and paid for it, and it's done, it's simple, and if it cost me $5 more, I honestly don't know because they haven't built in their rates.
My opinion is if we're gonna go with reservations at our campground, then look at moving forward, this is the system.
And I agree. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead with this.
Motivating, I would support that if we could put the billing on the, if the reservation could do the billings to cover the credit card use.
So do I understand we're saying we will pay the $79 a month, but they will pay the transaction fees above that,
Absolutely, yes.
reservation fees and the credit card fees. I mean, we talked about this for what, a year or more about taking reservations, and at some point we gotta start. And I'm not saying this is right, I agree, maybe a year from now we're gonna say, man, that's a mess, we gotta try something different. But I honestly don't know where to start, because people like taking reservations, they wanna do the online. I know that people are gonna say you shouldn't take reservations, you should leave some sites available.
Lyle would like to see it go also.
With reservations?
Yeah.
You know,
You can still, with this system, define sites that are not available to
we
reserve.
can take sites that we don't allow to be reserved and keep them available.
Is that smart though? I mean, are you not renting out sites that you could be?
During a transition.
That's why we went to the 4 days on the weekend, so people aren't gonna call up and reserve our Friday, Saturday, or take a Friday and.
So our two questions that we're gonna have then with this to move forward is one, that the credit card holder is charged all convenience fees for that option. And that this is only a yearly contract and we can opt out at any time without cost, correct? Or,
As far as I know, and I'll double check that.
at the end of the year or whatever. I've looked through it and don't see it out there.
Well, that gives us a year with his help to get this straightened out and see if we can move on. By going ahead forward now, we're not losing anything, we're gaining.
I guess before I signed it too, I'd ask, JetPay reserves the right to modify or amend any of the reserve, hold, rates, fees, or charges set forth in this schedule in accordance with the terms of the merchant agreement, as long as we have the right to say no.
Yes.
I mean, that's important to me. I'm not gonna sign a contract that says you can raise your rates and fees anytime you want for the next year, and we'll keep it.
From what I asked, because I was concerned about that, I was concerned with them being able to access accounts. Everything's done with authorization. You have to authorize them to do, pretty much make any changes.
But that's not what this says, and this is what we're gonna sign.
And well, I will double check him. I will double check with him too.
With the terms of the merchant agreement, which is what we're saying.
That's what it has to.
So there's three things now that we want. We want to be able to opt out if they have to at the end of the year. We want to make sure they can't make any changes in rates within that year. And we want to make sure that we are not charged the convenience fees.
There you go.
Well, we probably will, then just we'll bill it back on.
Okay.
that it be included in the billing.
Under agreement, that's what we're looking to.
We collected it.
Okay.
We'll still have.
Now, does this come with training for Lyle too? Is Corey's fees
DPW,
covered in
those are
there?
the DPW.
That's good. Yeah.
He knows,
Perfect.
he's been doing that at that park down there in Ludington.
Is there fees for Lyle in here for training? I'm
No.
dead serious.
Well, not in this quote, not in the cost of online management, that's all through this other company. I just did research on behalf of the council as far as, this is the online component of things.
That is what it costs.
But I can't. All right, I would make a motion that we move forward with the campground reservation system.
Wait a minute, Joe, there's already a motion on the floor.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Leila.
You ought to be.
Leila and Chapman.
We've already,
She made a motion that we go ahead with this.
Go ahead with our
I
reservation
asked
deal.
that we, to support it, that we put in the conditions that it's billed back through the reservation system to cover the additional cost. And the president said, except for the setup fee, that's what we'll take out of the fees that we increased it. And one other question was, is the yearly contract, can we get, is that a year contract or is it continuous or?
Yeah, all I'm saying is we're gonna commit to a year of that.
So that would be the other, the conditions is all. The two, that it would be billed back to the customer and that the contract would be 1 year to the person.
I mean, I'm sure that clause is the safeguard that in case the credit card company now says we're gonna charge you 25% to use the card, whatever that is. But then we also should have the right to say then at that point we want out of this contract because we're not gonna pay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, and I'm sure that's been asked of them before and they'll answer it, but it's an indirect line.
Okay.
Right.
Any other public comments? That's an issue. Motion by Clark. Support
Yes.
by Chapman. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Battery,
Yes.
Bodley,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Thayer,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Cruising.
Yes.
Pager, yes.
Okay, now we got.
Stick around after so I can verify this with you.
That's fine. And just send an email off to see if we can get an answer for them when they work late.
Do you want us, you got everything then on that, or that clause down here?
Yeah, I want to double check with you, though. I didn't ask, that's not a question for the campground software, it's a question for the credit card process.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yep, yeah. Guys, I'm gonna make a motion on the campground support contracts with Corey that we hold off for 1 month on the supposed table for a month till we have the reservation system in play and everything working.
How long will it take to set that up?
They say 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
For,
So,
Whether you're tabling
on that same,
What are you tabling?
tabling the campground support contract. I'll make this real quick, since it may happen before next month's meeting, and it goes through and we accept credit card payments. In 2003, the village passed a resolution that they would not accept credit card payments. So, I'll read you the new resolution. Resolution number 2 of 2003. Resolution to accept credit card payments. Round 1. Resolution number 3 of 2003, dated February 10th, 2003, is hereby repealed. 2. Credit card payment for campsites and pavilion rentals shall be accepted. Any questions on that resolution?
make a motion to adopt this resolution to accept credit card payment.
Yeah. Support.
Motion by Bodley, support by Clark. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. Okay. These are real quick.
Yes.
Approved zoning changes. As you remember, last month we approved the zoning changes for the fence setback and the property setbacks.
Yes.
Well, I'll accept the blame for this because it's my fault. It wasn't worded correctly when we ran it by Brian Graham, we put it in the paper. So,
We just need to accept the changes
we're not changing anything, it's just worded different.
Just the wording.
So all we're gonna do is accept the same thing we did with the proper wording from Brian Graham, which I won't make that mistake again.
Verbiage.
Yes,
Yes.
proper verbiage. So I would accept the motion.
I will make that motion that we accept it. Support.
Motion by Clark, support by Batterby to accept ordinance number 2 of 2013. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Peddler's ordinance, should all should have a copy of it. That was, we talked about this for months, it's been sent back and forth to Brian Graham, and this is one that hopefully everybody's comfortable with. Scott, you are correct?
Yes, sir.
Through this, and this is, it seemed like more than I wanted at first, but this is what happens when you make an ordinance you can enforce and involve your attorney, so. You'll see also with it, Scott made up an application, peddler, solicitor, and merchant application, address the ordinance. And if you look further, there's also an ordinance, at the end you'll see the fee for it. There's a resolution to set the fee. The ordinance gives us the right to set fees by resolution. There's a resolution that the fee will be $50 for it, and the renewal fee will be $25. That's a yearly fee. So I think the only change we made at one point was after we got it back, Scott and I realized that Scott basically that the ice cream truck wouldn't be able to come to town because of their bells. So with one quick phone call to Brian Graham that told him we didn't want to be the guys to run the ice cream truck out of town, then he changed it. So I think everything you could think of is dealt with. And the reason to do it is because we have some trouble with, I don't even know the right word for it.
Well, I think it puts our people in town at risk as far as anybody could come in and, you know, badger them into getting into contracts and stuff like that, and they're not even legitimate companies for the most part. You know, something I can even, you know, if somebody came to me and said, hey, I think I was scammed or whatever, I'm like, okay, they're from Tulsa, Oklahoma, how in the world am I gonna figure out who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and so.
Does that go for
And
our nonprofits?
No.
No, it allows them, I mean, I hate to use your father as an example, but,
That's a good one.
I mean, perfect example, they came and tried to basically, not muscle them into it, but basically, they confused them into trying to get into a contract about something that was way over his head.
Right.
And then unfortunately, the only thing I could do is, maybe I got their driver's license and found out, you know, who they are, but, you know, obviously they're out-of-state driver's licenses, no way to follow up. And the problem with those are, you know, 8 months down the road when somebody starts getting just hammered with their bills.
It's on page 5.
Yeah, 20.9.
Number C. 20.9
B and C.
Yeah.
The one thing nice about this is that it makes them have insurance, there's a bond, I mean, and stuff like that to where, you know, more credible.
Yes, it is. D. It's on page 5.
It's to a veteran who receives a license from a contractor.
What's that, the nonprofits?
For the veterans, they get theirs through the county clerk, and then they don't need anything from the village.
Correct.
And how the county deals with it, I don't know, but.
It always has been that way. I didn't know if it was.
Because that did go back to Brian at one time, Ralph, about that's the first time it went back, was we're not trying to exclude schools,
Oh, no.
scouts. They're not gonna need it.
Because those, I mean, I can easily follow up on those, I can
Churches.
easily track people down on those if we're truly having
Basically, farmers
problems.
and truck owners, one. B says, to any person when engaged in peddling on foot and under the direct supervision of any school or recognized charitable or religious organization. C, to any person selling, renting, or offering for sale or rent goods, wares, or merchandise on behalf of and solely for the benefit of any school or recognized charitable or religious organization. So we definitely address that.
I know a lot of work has went into this. It's been nearly a year that we first introduced it, and I know Scott worked real hard on it.
So I accept the motion to accept it.
I motion to accept.
Support.
Motion by Deere, support by Battery. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
We separate.
That's what we'll do. Okay, now we will need a motion to accept the resolution setting the fee at $50 annually, $25 upon renewal.
Just out of curiosity, where did we come up with them fees at?
We just came up with it, to be honest with you. I mean, we just thought we wanted to charge something.
It's gotta be
that
something
seemed
to at
very
least cover
fair.
the
$50
cost.
for a year, I think is very fair, and then $25 from there on out. I think.
Well, and we kind of used some parameters. I mean, I do salvage inspections at $100 a crack. I mean, there's certain things that we kind of, you know, the time amount that's involved into doing it, doing the application permit, going through the clerk's office, and
Sure.
Could I ask, when would this go into effect, and what would be like the penalties if somebody came by and didn't have a license?
So the ice cream truck has to pay the $50?
Yeah.
How in the world is the ice cream truck? Who's gonna flag him down and say, hey, we got a new peddler for
I talked to that gal.
Not hard to find.
She says they do in other areas.
they'll stop if you wave $1.
We see Scott running down the road screaming ice cream, we know.
Well, it just really did come about because there were people coming in town one year at night, and they were loading people's homes on like these gas leases and all these other crazy things. And how do you stop them without, you know what I mean? I mean, everybody gets caught in the net.
Selling those steaks and all that.
Brad, did he get your question answered?
Yeah, I mean, if people think the $50 is too much, just speak up. We haven't passed it. That's just,
And it could be as simple as 25.
you know what I mean? 20, I'm not,
Is that
fine. I mean,
in other areas?
what do you think, Ralph? Does it seem odd?
I have no idea.
25 seems a good figure to me.
What's that?
25.
I mean,
I mean, you're taking it right, I mean, I don't know how many times he came here selling ice cream, but, or she, or.
I really don't think he made $50 in town.
I think one of the things we based it on was the penalties too. I mean, first offense, if you operate without the permit, it's a $100 fee, so. So it's obviously, the fee for the permit should be less than the fines to be without it. Because if not, I'll take the gamble and not have a.
Well, I think that this is a great thing for us. It's only keeping the honest people honest.
Yeah.
Is what it is. I mean, you get them fly-by-night people that are gonna come in, knock on the door and run before you ever even get a chance to see them.
Sure,
or get
and
a
if I
call.
don't get a report or
This
it's
doesn't
not
do them any
investigated,
good.
yeah.
I mean,
So basically,
honestly,
the ice cream guy, because he's out in front of everybody, is gonna pay $50 and nobody
Yeah,
else.
so I would agree that we drop it to 25.
I agree.
I honestly don't care if it's 10. I just think we want them to go through this process.
Yeah, the real true benefit of this whole process is that we obtain who they are, what they're doing, they're insured, and stuff like that. Because I think that's what protects.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but the last people who were in town a while back, we had problems with. The only way they were removed from town is because they illegally parked. Otherwise, we had no way to tell them, you can't do this at 8 o'clock at night to the residents of our village. I think that's when this whole conversation got started was. So like that.
I think we should leave the fines where they are, but we cut it to 25
For the fee and 10 for a renewal.
Wants to conform.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, okay.
You think?
That sounds good.
I'm okay with whatever amount we.
You gonna warn somebody first?
I think.
I'm sure he respects who they are. I'm sure he would. I mean, I can't say there's a first
I
warning.
mean, I just see the ice cream truck coming in and getting.
He's not gonna get, I asked, the guy's not gonna get fined for not realizing he's gonna apply by our peddler.
Right.
I mean, I feel comfortable in saying that. If he does, I would be
But
embarrassed.
it gives me the authority to say, listen, Ralph, you're in violation of the peddler ordinance. You have to cease and desist right now. You can go tomorrow and make contact with our clerk.
Yeah.
And that resolves the problem. If you continue to go once I leave your presence, then we've got a problem.
And this can only be done through our clerk, correct?
They start the process. I mean, I approve it and then she finalizes it. I think that's part of the process.
This wasn't ever intended to make money, or it wasn't. It was intended to have a little control over it. I know, so you have to really have the ordinance, you have to have the application.
Yeah, but see, people like the ice cream truck guy would probably be,
A big stack of paper.
Yes, it is.
We got
I
way too
agree.
much paper.
I agree.
one thing it helps is the ice cream truck guy, if he's got the permit doing this, some guy can't undercut him and do the same exact same thing he's doing too, so.
Everybody's committed, yeah, just.
So, I'll accept the
Yeah, let's stop
I am
competition. Let's
making a
become
motion
socialist, and I don't want to work anymore
As
either.
amended.
As amended, yes.
Yes, you need that motion?
I
Motion
just
by-
made
made it, I'll support it.
Support by Batterby to accept the resolution to set the rates for the peddlers, solicitors, and merchants at license as amended. All in favor?
25. Aye.
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 Motion passed.
Thank you. Boy, we're slow getting through this stuff.
No, actually,
A
we're
lot of information.
1 minute behind. Anyway, here's another Ken Cruiser mistake, and I'll accept this one. When we approved the master plan, the recreation plan, we just assumed it happened as normal, but it didn't. It needed to be published, that meeting needed to be published in the paper. We did it at a normal meeting, but it should have been published in the paper as a special meeting. We didn't, we need to, so right now, once again, we're not doing anything we didn't do last month, we're just making it legal.
It was published in the paper, it wasn't published in the Antrim Review because we couldn't get it done in time, so it was in the Record Eagle last Friday, correct?
Yes, so this is the same resolution, 1 month later, notice has been published in the paper.
And it doesn't affect
Okay.
Nothing is.
No, it doesn't
process,
affect
right, that's the
anything.
main thing.
No.
Okay.
So, I'll accept the motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Motion by Chapman, support by Thayer,
You have to have a roll call.
roll call.
Batterby,
Yes.
Conlon,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Sayer,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Cruising.
Yes. Motion passes. The next thing you'll see on there is approved e-payment for water billing. As Pat checked into that more, there's more questions that arise, so that's not a pressing matter, so we'd like to just table that for a month until we have more answers.
Good. Common area ground.
All in favor of tabling it?
Aye.
Table. Next one I think we can do, Jay, hire the common area grounds keeper. We had one application. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Joe. She seemed highly qualified.
Overqualified.
No, 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 no.
That's down on the sheet.
Yeah, on the process, yeah. So, there's a budget for that of $3,000. That's for wages and for buying the city supplies. So it's my suggestion that we pay her as a contractor. We work up a deal, we pay her $3,000 to maintain that area from a date to a date. And we get out of the business of having her as an employee and keeping track of hours and paying her by the hour. We give her a $3,000 budget.
Could we implement something where whoever's in charge of this individual, they have a halfway point, they sit down and they go over their strengths and weaknesses, so
Yes, that's what
if it's just one marigold at the intersection and
No, that's what we
they're
talk about.
$2,999 later, we're looking at a
So
marigold.
we talk about, do we want to pay her 4 payments? Do we want to pay her 2? But I mean, that's something that we need to discuss with her.
Okay.
And I, you know,
You'd have to have some kind of contract.
There will be a
about how many
contract.
plants she's gonna put in, don't you? I mean, like he said, the one flower for $3,000, I wanna put in for this. I'll round up everywhere else like it should.
Nobody ever did that before. We never told Candy what to do. Nobody on the Rose Council said plant 23 flowers. It's somewhere you need a contract that we want that area maintained. You know, I don't know how to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
From X date to X date, we want that area maintained to a certain standard. I'm not a gardener, I couldn't tell you how to word it, but I know there's people that can help us with that.
We did start out a little bit with Candy when she was in there. She ordered her supplies and her materials that we paid for directly. We had an idea of what she was doing before the season started because she ordered them long in advance. Well, this year we don't have that under.
Sam,
But Sam, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, I just think if
fits
we,
right in there.
I just like seeing approval to hire her in finance and personnel, and Sam can sit down and iron these details out, because I think we should do this before next month, or do we wanna table it till next month?
I think beginning of April, they'll be starting doing.
Sam, what do you think?
I think we should hire her and let's get the ball rolling.
But I do agree
We
with Ralph.
all know
need
what
a
we want.
contract. If we're gonna hire her as a contractor, we need
If we
to.
just leave her under Sam's supervision.
Somebody's gonna have to.
We all know what we want done.
If she didn't do anything, you would tell her to do something.
We want the flower beds weeded, we want some flowers put in the standing pots, we want it looking pretty.
Okay,
If
but I'm
you
saying
can do that for $500, you get $2,500. You wanna do it over 4 payments over the summer? You
I'm
get a
good
check
with that too,
for,
but saying if she's not an employee, we're gonna sign a contract with her.
Correct.
A contract. An employee, you can say you're doing a bad job, fired. It's not that easy, but you could say it. If we're gonna hire as a contractor, we need a contract as to what we expect out of her for that $3,000. Correct?
Yes, I guess.
So we can approve hiring her, and Joe and Sam can discuss.
Yeah, certainly. Guidelines that-
Who was it? Joe, on finance and personnel? Oh, who was it?
Her name is Sandra Bodenbender, if I'm
She's referred to
pronouncing
Jeanette
that correctly.
She
She
lives
lives down
down
on Darman Street.
Did she buy Jeanette's house?
I've talked to her briefly, and she seemed very ecstatic to do it. She's obviously very overqualified for this. She was big into the Alden and their flower beds and the rebuilding, and I mean, just a big thing she's done. So, I was actually surprised that she wanted to do it for the little amount of money that we were actually paying to do that.
Maybe she don't realize how serious, how much work it's gonna be.
I can write up a contract with her,
Okay.
and
She
go
can
through
say
them.
yay or nay.
And she can say yea or nay, but I think, I'd make a motion that we hire not to exceed $3,000 and contingent upon the, yeah, the signed contract, I guess.
Support.
Motion by Bobby, support by Battery. Roll call.
Batterby,
Yes.
Bodley,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yep.
Cruising.
Yes. Any public comment?
Yeah, I just had one real quick question about the FOIA request. Is everything have to go through a FOIA request? Budget, agenda, minutes, or just certain items?
Anything requested from the village offices, FOIA requests?
Okay.
And then, Brad, the reason we do that is to have a record of things, because there was a period of time when people would say, I asked for it, you didn't give it to me. So this creates a record if you asked for it and you received it.
You'd also be able to look at our village website.
But that's on the
It has
website.
minutes, it has a
Yes,
budget.
90% of what they want is, I think, is on the website.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the FOIA policy.
Budget, and then any FOIA request has to go through a FOIA coordinator, which is our village.
I have one thing I do have to bring up. I've had a couple of people approach me, and Scott, I think, is there an ordinance against parking your vehicles on the sidewalk in the village of Central Lake?
Is that a question?
Is it not an ordinance? We do have an ordinance, don't we?
You're not supposed to park on the sidewalk, yes.
I've had a couple of complaints of people parking on sidewalks, and that people, especially this winter, could not get out around them unless they were out in the road.
You can refer them to me if you want. And they can call me or I can.
Yeah, because.
I mean, it's hard to answer a question without knowing specifics. I mean, as
Yeah.
far as, is it happening at midnight or in the morning or all the
Well,
time?
apparently it must have been happening in the daytime, because she said she couldn't get out, she had to take her dog and go out the road. So it must have been in the daytime.
Yeah, just have them call my office.
But I
And,
can still drive on the sidewalk, correct?
Negative.
Cool.
Oh, really?
If you put a plow on the front, we won't have to plow.
Just let two wheels do.
Okay, any old business?
Brad, I would like to address Brad on communications. You'd asked how to communicate, how to get a hold of us. I think we made it pretty clear that we have an email address or messenger on the Facebook page. Would be a great way to get a hold of one of us. I'm not so sure myself personally that I would want to do interviews. I don't know about you guys or where you're going with it. I don't know if that's necessarily the way to go, but I think Brad deserves an answer since he asked.
I would think, and I would think probably in any organization, any business, schools, everything. I know employees wouldn't respond to interviews, and I don't know if it's the trustees. I mean, if you want to do a personal interview, we can't say no. What I would say is until we develop a policy, I just don't know if it's a trustee's place to do interviews and speak for the village council.
Trustees voice their opinion as any other elected official.
Yeah. Yeah.
which would be what he's asking you to do, and if you choose not to voice
Yeah,
your
and
opinion.
it would be like promoting our park and getting information out to the public on things. It wouldn't necessarily be criticizing village council or it's, you know, with the newspaper, it would be bringing information to the public.
If you go to school and ask to interview their athletic director, what will their response be?
Yes,
Absolutely.
No, will not. It will be, no interviews are conducted unless given approval by the principal or the superintendent.
I bet,
Did you guys interview?
I interviewed Kelly Berry without any.
Am I wrong on that? Is that pretty school policy in most schools? I mean, I don't know.
You're asking me as a retired teacher?
I'm asking you.
I'll guarantee you, I'll guarantee you.
You interviewed
if
the
someone comes
superintendent,
into the
right?
office and wants an interview, they'll give it right then. Well, unless he had to go to a meeting somewhere, or he couldn't at that moment, but if you made a call, he'd do an interview immediately. I'll guarantee it.
As a retired teacher, you'd have to go through a communications director.
I would
If you're
almost
speaking as a teacher or.
guarantee that the teachers at Central schools have been told they do not respond unless it goes to the
Just
principal.
interview Cal?
I just interviewed Kelly.
That's understandable. Will we get permission?
No, I'm just saying, I'm not against it,
I
I'm not, we're just discussing it, Brad.
Well,
I'm just-
and the village council is my employee. You gonna ask every person in town if you guys can do an interview?
I will say, we are probably gonna have an interview this month with the township president. Without any.
Wait, that's, you guys shouldn't have to ask if you can give an interview.
No, he's on vacation.
No, he'll be back.
Yeah, he's
There's no way you guys should have to, I mean, no elected official, how many times you see posts in the paper from elected officials? Obama does it all the time, I wish to God he'd never do an interview.
Amen to that one.
But in a way, you're right, because I think back to some of our rules in our handbooks that, you know, say we're supposed to operate, you know, in the sunshine, kind of like out there, and
You don't
I
have
see
to-
your,
You don't have to give an interview, if you don't wanna spend your time is required here, just what you're paid for.
I guess I would just ask if you do an interview, just remember you're speaking for the council.
No, you're not. That's a whole good idea of elected official.
It depends on what he's asking.
You're speaking your opinion about the council, you're not speaking for the council. No one of you has any right, you included, Ken, as president, to speak about how the council feels. Unless it was, okay, the council amended this agenda or did that, you can say that, the council did this. But you can't say the council will, Denise will vote yes on this project until the vote.
And there's always specific topics that you can just refuse to comment on if you feel compromised
I
or
would- you're not
uncomfortable.
required to waste your time. But, you know, I mean, if someone wants to interview, that'd be crazy.
I like most of it, Jeremy.
Motion by.
I'll support.
Support by Clark, all in favor?
Aye.